Lakers Kings is a final. Friday night at LA Live.
It's the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at PizzaHut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
We recap Lakers Kings and all that went down tonight.
Lakers basketball is a final.
877-710 ESPN.
It's the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Tipping off now.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
Lakers lose to the Kings, 110-106 the final score. Lakers now 36-27 on the season. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games. Very disappointing loss tonight versus the Sacramento Kings. Shocker, a surprise. I'm a little bit stunned here, Laker fans. Not going to lie, a little bit stunned here. I don't think anybody thought we'd be doing a post-game show tonight thinking that the Lakers would lose to the King, and there's many reasons for it. And, you know, I think this game reminds me a little bit of early on in the season when Lakers would play teams that you just assumed they would just blow out, no problem, and they were very casual about that opponent. And I know this is LeBron James' first game back. I know the Lakers are starting to, obviously try to figure out the chemistry, the this, that. There's no excuses, Laker fans. I mean, just think about this. No De'Aaron Fox for the Sacramento Kings. Kings have been awful this year. Kings gave up 154 points in their last game against the Utah Jazz. No Harrison Barnes. You got Buddy Hield, who put up, I think Buddy Hield had literally 2 points in this game. 2 points in 32 minutes, was 1 of 11 from the field. And the Lakers couldn't find a way to beat the Sacramento Kings. So this one is a tough one to swallow, and there's a lot of things I can get into, but the one thing that always sticks out to me for the Lakers is if you play defense, if you're interested in the game, you're going to come out with a W. If you don't play defense and you're not interested in the game, you have a risk of losing because you give teams like the Sacramento Kings, you give them just enough confidence to think, do we kind of have a shot here? And in that fourth quarter, when the Lakers, coming into the fourth quarter, they were up 10. They get outscored 32-18 in the fourth quarter. Lakers were not going for the kill. Lakers were more just very casually going about the game. And it might not seem like a big deal, and I'm not saying the world is about to end. You only got 9 games left in the regular season. I'm pretty sure every Laker fan wants this team to position themselves to stay in that number 5 spot. So you make things a lot more interesting, and they don't need to be that interesting. I want to take as many calls from Laker fans as possible. So 877-710-ESPN, your thoughts on the game. As simple as that. What went wrong tonight? What has gone on over these last 5 or 6 games? And is there a bigger concern other than just this game tonight? Lakers lose to the Kings, 110-106, 877-710-ESPN. All right, quick shout-out here. Thanks to Coors Seltzer. You can now stream this show on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Coors Seltzer, Rocky Mountain Refreshment, now in a hard seltzer. And check this out. Every 12-pack purchase refreshes our rivers with 500 gallons of water. Now that's refreshing. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, brewed in Fort Worth, Texas. Details at CoorsSeltzer.com. We're going to do this a little bit different. So, we're obviously streaming the show as well, as I'm mentioning here, and I got opportunities to read off a lot of this live stream as well. I'll read off Twitter, at Alan Sliwa, if you want to hit me on Twitter, and you can give me and share your thoughts on the game. Let's just say a lot of comments here on Twitter. A lot of comments coming in here. Obviously, Laker fans not happy with the way this team has been playing. Look, I'm not going to sit here as I read some of the comments that say Lakers aren't going to get past the first round. No, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I do think that the Lakers certainly have put themselves in a position where when you only have 9 games left, you want every single game to count as you're kind of measuring yourself getting into the postseason. I heard Coach say today. I heard Coach in the pregame show talk about it. Coach, literally the exact word he said is it's going to be tough to find chemistry in just 10 games. So it just kind of shows you how important each one of these games are going to be for the Lakers as you prep for the postseason. It's Sacramento. It's the Sacramento Kings. No, this game is not going to be the difference of the Lakers winning a championship or not. but you want them to start gaining some type of momentum as we get a little bit closer to the postseason. And they've made their lives a lot more difficult than I think it needs to be. You know, it's funny. I was listening to Michael during the broadcast with John. Michael kept saying that. He's like, yeah, they're making things too difficult, shooting too many jumpers. Why not just go down low to Anthony Davis? And this is a theme in the NBA. You give teams confidence, you give them momentum, things like this can happen. All right, let me take a couple quick phone calls here. Let's start off with Troy in Newport Beach. Troy, appreciate you calling in. You're on the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show. You there, Troy?
Yep.
What'd you think, Troy? What'd you think of give me your thoughts on the game.
Well, if you look at the way we played last year, we're not using our roster like we did last year. Schroeder should not be playing point guard along down the stretch, the closing lineup. LeBron needs to be the point for our team like he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to go back to this. The offense was obviously stagnant in the fourth quarter, only had 18 points. You're going to have nights where you miss who's on the Sacramento Kings where they should be putting up 110 points? Who? 7 guys scoring double figures, and that's with Buddy Hield only having 2 points. That's insane to me. I mean, it really is. Tyrese Halliburton is a very, very nice player. I heard Michael saying, no question about it, he's going to be an all-star at some point in his career when some of the older guards, kind of fade away from the game in the next 5 years or so. 110 points. 110 points. I mean, get some stops. Get stops when you need them. Get critical stops. The Lakers obviously couldn't do that. Let me squeeze in another call here. Let's do Scooter in L.A. Scooter, what's going on?
How you doing? Alan?
Doing good, man. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, man, these Lakers, man. I mean, they were a turnover machine today, especially Schroeder, man. It seemed like fourth quarter he must have had at least 6-7 turnovers, seemed like by himself. And this team,
Schroeder had
man.
5 turnovers. LBJ had 5 as well.
Yeah, wow. They have to fix that up, man, before the playoffs start. And it looks like now, it looks like they're going to play in the play-in tournament, man. I don't see how they can, like the coach said, to get rid of this before the playoffs start.
Appreciate you calling in, Scooter. When you don't want to overreact to one game, but you're frustrated on that one loss, so you kind of find yourself right in the middle of not overreacting, but kind of overreacting. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. And it just threw me for such a curveball that this was even a game. I'm thinking here by halftime or so, this is a 15-point game. Michael and I doing the pregame show. Maybe that's a good example of we weren't paying attention, thinking that this was going to be a game, and the Lakers was the same thing on the court. Can they be a part of that play-in tournament? They definitely can. Let's talk about that when we come back, because there's something about where the standings are, and I still don't think the Lakers are going to be part of the play-in tournament because I don't think you could trust Portland. I don't think you could trust Dallas, even though within one game you could fall from 5th to 7th and be in that play-in tournament like the Lakers. Let's do that when we come back. 877-710-ESPN. By the way, I see all these chats here or all these comments here. I'll start reading some of those as well. I'll start getting some of these Twitter messages. When we come back, we'll take a quick peek at a couple clips from Lakers head coach Frank Vogel, get his thoughts on the game. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 7.
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
George Sedano.
Give it to me one more time, because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said, too.
Couldn't get your unit to work? LZ Granderson. By the way, I am so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Cap's got moves?
Good ones?
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first. The one and only original stuffed crust. Only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one outpizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Alan Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN app or anytime wherever you get your podcast. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line. Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out pizzas the Hut.
Hi, this is Anthony Davis of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
It's time for Lakers postgame with Sliwa.
Now, here's Alan Sliwa.
Heel hasn't scored yet. Here is Chimezie Metu to Halliburton. Down low, Rashawn Holmes. Blocked by AD. Ball goes out of bounds. They'll give it to the Kings. But a spectacular block by Anthony Davis.
5 blocks for Anthony Davis, but not enough for the Lakers. 110-106. They lose to the Sacramento Kings. Lakers now 36-27 on the season. The defensive play of the game is brought to you by Adriana's Insurance. Win and save on your auto insurance. And only Adriana's Insurance can guarantee it. We give you more options, unique offers, and exclusive opportunities to get the coverage you need at the best price. Visit SaveWithAdrianas.com today. Adriana's Insurance, more options, no contracts, just savings. Yes, if you're just tuning in right now, the Lakers lose to the Sacramento Kings 110-106. Still trying to figure out how that happened. A couple comments I want to read here real quick. On Twitter, Ahmad. Obviously disappointing to lose when we had a 10-point lead in the fourth, but it's also the first time Bron, AD, and AD have played together. Biggest takeaway will be improving communication on offense and defense, which will come with time. I get it. I get the positive approach. I just don't agree with it. I don't think you need that much to beat the Sacramento Kings. I think if LeBron James wasn't playing in tonight's game, which was, look, this came out of nowhere. I mean, earlier in the day, we didn't think. Yesterday, we got the Lakers send out the report of, okay, hey, this is who's probable, who's questionable, and who's out. LeBron was out. So we got the news earlier today. Woj had reported it, a couple other reporters, and then next thing you know, we get it from the Lakers that he's going to be questionable. And then by the time, we're hearing from Lakers head coach Frank Vogel, we knew he was going to be playing. I just don't have an excuse here. So to say that it's the first time Bron, AD, and AD have played together, Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond, that's fine if you're playing the Clippers. It's fine if you're playing Utah. If you got Brooklyn on the schedule, if you got a healthy Phoenix team there. I mean, if you're playing one of the elite teams, I get it. It's going to take a little bit of time. But if you're playing the Sacramento Kings, who just gave up 154 points in their last game, it's tough for me to make, an excuse on that one. Before I take some more phone calls, by the way, 877-710-ESPN, your thoughts on tonight's game. Let me read off our stream here. Facebook, Peter Sisson. Lakers waiting for LeBron to win the game for them, standing around. I will tell you this. If there's one thing I can't stand, and I think this happens, I think it's very natural. One of the things that this Lakers team I thought was doing a much better job of when LeBron and Anthony Davis were out, because they had absolutely no choice, they stopped depending on, obviously they're stars, so they're depending on each other. And I thought, okay, hey, that's going to play to the Lakers' benefit when those two players come back. I know. It's just one game with LeBron James and Anthony Davis together. Throw Andre Drummond in the mix. I get it. I understand all that. But with all that being said, that is one of the things that kind of stands out to me. The last thing I want to see, because I think this Lakers team is so talented, is everybody standing around and waiting for LeBron to do something. You know what? Just throw it to AD. LeBron's going to bail us out. AD's going to bail us out. That's the last thing you want to see from this Lakers team, because there's too much depth for them to be, obviously waiting for that. Peter in Hermosa Beach. Peter, what's going on? Thank you for calling into the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show. Go ahead, Peter.
Hey, great. Hey, nice to see you. I'll preface this. I'm a big gambler. I bet like $2,000-$3,000 every night on NBA. And the real issue is Andre Drummond is not a good fit. We would have been better off with Damian Jones dunking on people's heads like he did in that first quarter tonight. Drummond he's just a name. We should have kept Damian Jones. Montrez has sulked ever since he got here. Gasol cried in the press conference. It ruined the chemistry, and it's probably going to kill. It's probably going to kill the season because it's not a good fit.
I appreciate you calling in. I'm not sure, Peter, the example of you gambling every night, what that had to do with the Andre Drummond portion, but thank you for adding that into the mix there. I've heard this a couple times. I've heard this the last couple of games. People kind of questioning the Andre Drummond part, and it's just a name, and it's this and that. I'm still trying to figure out what Laker fans, not everybody's saying this, by the way, but what the issue would be with Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond came to the Lakers for nothing. And all I was hearing for a while back was how Marc Gasol shouldn't be the starting center, and there's actually a lot of Laker fans that were talking about in the past, if you guys remember this, but it was where's JaVale, where's Dwight Howard? We've heard that conversation all season long. Lakers went out and got another big. They got, obviously, Andre Drummond. Drummond pretty much is 15 and 10 a night, maybe 12 a night. And where you're really going to see Andre Drummond, the difference between Lakers and some of these other teams, how the Clippers are going to adjust with that much size that the Lakers have, or Brooklyn, or some of these other teams. So I'm not one to think that grabbing Andre Drummond for virtually nothing in the buyout market was a bad move. Because we've also sat here for a lot of post-game shows, and we've talked about how, I've heard Laker fans express this, that they weren't crazy about having Marc Gasol in there and picking up all those minutes. Give it a second on that front, but I don't think, tonight the Lakers are not losing because of Andre Drummond. Lakers are losing because they're disinterested in a team that wasn't that interesting, and the Sacramento Kings took advantage of the Lakers. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Ken in Newport Beach. Ken, what's going on? Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, that's okay. If defense looked like the Lakers thought this was a preseason game or it was an all-star game, there was very little movement, open shots. But let's talk about offense. Mm-hmm. The starting five were 2 for 19 from three. 2 for 19, okay? Our starting guard was 0 for 5. He was a minus 19 with 5 turnovers. Kuzma took one shot all game. One shot. It looks like they never played together in their lives. And the last play, I'm not going to call it a play, the last shot, everybody in the world knows it was going to be LeBron. Gee, if you were 2 for 19 from your starters, how about putting the one guy that was shooting good, McLemore, in the game at the end if you want to try to win it? And there was some questionable moves, coaching, but how do you 2 for 19 from your starting five from three?
Yeah, not exactly the greatest game for the Lakers from the 3-point line. And by the way, this becomes a question. Ken, I appreciate you calling in. This is always, this has been a conversation. We've been having this conversation about threes for a while now. Lakers end up shooting, what they shoot, 25%, 7 to 28. I want to play this real quick because I think this is going to be a perfect segue for when we come back. And I know we got a bunch of callers lined up right now. 877-710-ESPN if you want to be a part of the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show. Lakers lose to the Kings 110-106. When we come back, let me play this clip from Lakers head coach Frank Vogel talking about just finding the chemistry before the playoffs start. I mentioned this already. I talked about this. And I've heard, people say that, do the Lakers have enough time to kind of figure this thing out, incorporate everybody together? AD was out for a long time. LeBron was out. You added Andre Drummond. You added Ben McLemore. That's not something to me that I have had any concern with. I've always said that, no, I think they'll be just fine. When we come back, I'll play what Coach thinks from a chemistry perspective in these final 9 games. Plus, we'll take more of your phone calls. We'll read more of your tweets and more of your comments on our restream. Stay right here. Thank you for tuning in. Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710.
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
George Sedano.
Give it to me one more time, because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said, too.
Couldn't get your unit to work? LZ Granderson.
By the way, I am so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Cap's got moves?
Good ones?
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first. The one and only original stuffed crust. Only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Alan Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN app or anytime wherever you get your podcast. Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game. And your reaction on the Lakers line. The world champion Los Angeles Lakers on 710 ESPN. Your home for championship radio.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Once again, here's Alan Sliwa.
110-106. Lakers lose to the Sacramento Kings, 36-27 on the season, just a half-game advantage over the Dallas Mavericks. I'll get into the standings in just a second. Standings are kind of fascinating right now, 5 through 7. Points in the Paint all season long is sponsored by Vista Paint. Right now, local residents can take 40% off on factory direct high-quality Vista Paint products. A Vista Paint team member will show you how. Locally owned, manufactured, and operated since 1956. Vista Paint, Lakers 66-44. They win the points in the paint battle. If they could just get some threes to fall. 7 of 28 from the three-point line, just 25%. That part is certainly frustrating. So this is going to be a perfect segue to taking a listen to Coach. On YouTube right now, Lakers are nowhere close to where they were before the seeding games at the bubble in terms of chemistry. That's Alex Trin on our stream. Let's take a listen to Coach. Get his thoughts, because following the game, he talked a little bit about chemistry, and he talked a little bit about trying to take advantage of these last only 9 games left to try and find some type of chemistry.
Yeah, we're going to look at as many things as we can down the stretch as we can. We don't have enough time to look at everything. We don't have enough time for those guys to really find a chemistry necessary for the playoffs. But we're going to make the best of it. Everybody's in their own unique situation, and I believe that over these final 9 games and into the playoffs, we're going to find the right rhythm and timing and chemistry and have success in the playoffs. But it's going to be a little bit bumpy along the way.
All right, that's Lakers head coach Frank Vogel right there. Okay, as far as the chemistry goes, what are your thoughts, Laker fans? What do you think? You think that could be something that plays an issue the rest of the way? I mean, listen, the rest of the way, it's 9 games. Yes, I'd mentioned after Toronto, which is the next game on Sunday, 5 straight games against playoff teams, which, by the way, I'm looking forward to. I think that's important for the Lakers. I think they'll wake up for those games. I think if there's ever a time that you want the Lakers to be in tougher predicaments, tough games. I was telling Michael in the pregame show, Lakers got the Clippers coming up in less than a week or so. Maybe it's a week from today. I would hate to all of a sudden the Clippers are sitting Kawhi and Paul George and someone. No. We need as much prep and practice against good playoff teams before the postseason starts. So if you want to comment on that, 877-710-ESPN. Let's grab a couple more calls here. Let's go to Noah in Northridge. Noah, what's going on? Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for having me. I just think the Lakers they didn't play well tonight. Like LeBron, I know he came back and he scored 16 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. But and I know that it's going to take time for the chemistry to start. But we need some impact from these other players. Kuzma scoring 2 points, McLemore, Harold, Morris, Tucker. They need to start contributing more, especially in the clutch. And I felt like that shot by LeBron at the end. I knew they were going to give him the ball, but I feel like they could have went down low to AD, or they could have done another option to at least put it into overtime. So.
No, I think that if they were interested in overtime, appreciate you calling in, by the way. I think they would have probably drew up a different play, and obviously LeBron was going for the win, and they were trying to end it. But why is it coming down to a final possession? And I get it as well. You're saying that it's going to take time, chemistry. It's the Kings. It's the Sacramento. Have you guys been seeing any of these games with the Sacramento Kings lately? They're getting demolished by teams. Michael and I were talking about it. What's the leash for a guy like Luke Walton? Even you get 10 teams that get an opportunity to be a part of the playing tournament. They're 5.5 games from the 10th team coming into this game. So I don't have much ammo here when I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings. I don't have many things I could say, and they're arguably two of their best players, De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes, are not in this game. So with all that being said, I get it. It's a bad game. It's one of those that you just want to kind of flip the script. But when I hear somebody saying that, that final possession they could have drew up a better play, and why you're going for the 3 and go for the win, why is it coming down to a final possession? 32-18 in the fourth quarter. They're outscored by 14 points in the fourth quarter against the Sacramento Kings. They walked into the fourth with a 10-point lead. All right, I'm going to let other people talk here. Justin in New York. Justin, appreciate you calling in, bud.
Yes, hi. Good to be on the show.
Thank you.
The Lakers right now, these are 2 wake-up calls. So the other night we lost to the Wizards. Tonight we lost to the Kings, right? So let's talk about this. The Lakers right now, they're in the 5th seed right now. You have the Mavericks in 6th, Trailblazers in 7th, and the Grizzlies in 8th. In my opinion, this Laker team is a disgrace right now. And I say this because, yes, the chemistry is off right now, but these players have been playing each other for over 4 to 3 months right now together. And in my opinion, this is a disgraceful output. And, yes, LeBron has just come back. But these guys need to produce and whatsoever. You have Drummond and AD. They need to get along right away now. And if things don't even turn, we're looking at a second round or third round exit. Because right now, this does not look like a finals team as we speak. And it's just really scary now. And I'm a Laker fan, man. It's really scary.
Appreciate you calling in. Thank you for calling in, Justin. Let's try Sebastian in Puerto Rico. Sebastian, thank you for calling all the way out in Puerto Rico. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Thank you.
Good. I just want to say I feel like we're shooting too many threes. We're getting too comfortable in the perimeter, and we should be attacking the paint more. And I also believe that Gasol should be getting more of a look so he can create some good offense for our team. But I feel like we're just settling too much. And the effort on the rebounding, how are we getting out-rebounded with AD and Drummond on the court? I just don't get it.
Yeah, and tonight they actually weren't out-rebound 43-37, but we've seen some games where that's been the case, so I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laker fans frustrated. I'm sure the Laker organization and the players and Lakers head coach Frank Vogel certainly frustrated in a game like this. And I had a couple of people point out the standings here. Let me actually. This is I think an interesting part of where the Lakers sit. You can't really determine what any of the other teams are going to do, but I will tell you this: Denver is only a half game away from the Clippers. Phoenix and Utah have the exact same record. I don't remember ever looking at the NBA standings and not seeing the Utah Jazz with the number 1 record in the NBA, but Phoenix beat up on Utah earlier today. So here's the reality. I cannot tell you who the Lakers are going to face, what it's going to look like. It's changing every single day. Next time we do a post-game show, which is going to be on Sunday night, Clippers could be sitting in the 4th spot. So whether the Lakers end up in 5th, 6th, 7th, it has less to do what other teams are doing. It has more to do with the Lakers have too good of a team and too good of a roster to lose games like this. Is it going to happen through the course of a season? It is. But this is not one of those games where I have, obviously many excuses I can help make for them. Juan in Glendale. Juan, what's going on? You're on the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Hey, Sliwa, hey, quick thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to mention, you know what? I always say I hate comparing Kobe and LeBron, man. But I don't know if you noticed, there was a couple plays towards the end of the game there where AD got the ball in the post. And you know what? Instead of going in and taking the guy under the basket, he shoots a fadeaway.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, Kobe was Cal Gasol in that manner. You know what? Take this guy to the hole, yell at him. And LeBron, I see him laughing, AD laughing after the play. But you know what, man? With that type of attitude, like the caller said before, man, I don't know. This doesn't look right.
Juan, I appreciate you calling in. I'll tell you one thing. We're in the playoffs, and that's Game 5. AD is going to be – that's not going to be the case. And I am literally making an excuse here, but I say that because when it's money time and it's an important, critical moment, playoffs, that's not going to be the case. You should have heard Michael Thompson on the broadcast. He probably said 40 different times, throw the ball down to AD. Why do you keep taking threes? Throw the ball down to AD. All right, more of your phone calls coming up next. 877-710-ESPN. LeBron is speaking to the media now, so if we get some clips on that, I'll make sure to get his thoughts on the game. So we'll do all that coming up next. Read more of your tweets. Thank you for being a part of the show. Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
George Sedano.
Give it to me one more time, because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said, too.
Couldn't get your unit to work?
LZ Granderson.
By the way, I am so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Caps got moves?
Good ones?
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first. The one and only original stuffed crust. Only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Alan Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN app or anytime wherever you get your podcast. The Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line. Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hi, this is Anthony Davis of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
It's time for Lakers postgame with Sliwa.
Now, here's Alan Sliwa.
110-106, the final. Kings over the Lakers, 36-27 on the season. One game now separates the Lakers. Half a game with Dallas, one game with the Portland Trailblazers. Dallas has a tiebreaker, 5th to 7th. That's how close it is. The number 3 and number 4 spot is within a half game. The number 1 and number 2 in the Western Conference are tied, identical, Utah and the Phoenix Suns. So the Western Conference getting incredibly, incredibly interesting. I want to let me read off a couple of messages here. So we got Too Fast streaming on YouTube. Lakers are 0-2 without Caruso. He makes the difference, in my opinion. I will say something. That is one thing I probably have not talked enough about, that Alex Caruso is one of those players. He does so many little things. Doesn't need the ball. Plays excellent defense. I'll tell you what, when we played the Washington Wizards back on Wednesday, we could have used him in the backcourt trying to guard Bradley Beal or Russell Westbrook. So I think it has been underestimated that he's been out. He was a game-time decision. We saw him warming up. Coach mentioned he's actually warming up right now. We'll see if he comes back, and he stayed out with back spasms. We know he'll be back soon. Maybe it's another game or two or whatever the case is. I agree with that. I think there is something to that. My issue in a game like tonight, this shouldn't have been a game. If we are sitting here, if LeBron hit that final shot, that last shot that he took, and Lakers won by 1, hypothetically, right? They won 109, 108, or whatever the score was at that point. I'd still be sitting here, and I'm sure every Laker fan would still be sitting here and saying, yeah, why is that game so close? It shouldn't have been that close. So with or without Caruso, I don't think that changes too much here. I want to play a clip here from LeBron James' post-game interview. He's talking about how he's feeling and how he's doing since, obviously playing in this game.
Yeah, I haven't played a game in 6 weeks. And, no contact, no 5-on-5. I've been doing a bunch of individual workouts and a lot of running, trying to keep my, my heart rate going, my conditioning going. And, for my first game in 6 weeks, I felt okay. As far as my win, I felt pretty good. As far as my ankle was a little tight at times, obviously just doing different movements, different things that I haven't done, obviously in the game situation in 6 weeks. So I think, as the games go on, that will continue to improve. But I came out unscathed and pretty good. So it's a good start.
All right, I'll throw this out there to Laker fans. What do you think, LeBron? Just LeBron specifically, 877-710 ESPN. What do you think of LeBron's first game back? Missed 20 games, came back. I will say this, I'm surprised he went 32 minutes for the Lakers. Coach mentioned there wasn't going to be a minutes restriction, that they would kind of slowly they try to be smart about it. Came right in. Let's just say LeBron didn't waste any time of trying to get back and obviously try to contribute for the Lakers, but they still lose 110-106. Okay, let me grab a couple quick phone calls here. Let's go to Solomon in Lake Balboa. Solomon, appreciate you calling in. Go ahead, bud.
Hey, thanks, Alan. Real quick question to LeBron. I think LeBron's fine. He almost looked like he didn't even miss a beat. Mm-hmm. LeBron's LeBron. You would expect nothing less. And of course, he wasn't the reason we lost tonight. Well, maybe he could have got 40, we would have won. No, you nailed it. The team, after they got a 10-point lead, it seemed like they disengaged. They said, oh, you know what, let's just put it in cruise control. And two things you can control. I know the shooting was atrocious tonight, but when you have that many turnovers, you're not mentally engaged. And when you give that many points up to a team like Sacramento, that means you don't want to put the effort in on defense. Those two things were very disturbing tonight. And I am getting a little tired, as I'm sure you are. How many times are we going to say, man, we did not expect them to lose tonight?
Mm-hmm. Solomon, appreciate you calling in. Thank you for calling in. No, we didn't. I didn't expect them either. Maybe I ran my mouth too much. When Anthony Davis came back, I started saying that they're not gonna lose. Forget about this whole playing tournament. That's not even going to be a conversation. Why would it be a conversation? Anthony Davis. Look at the depth that this Lakers have. This is before we knew when LeBron was going to come back. Dennis Schroeder, and go down the list. Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Talen Horton-Tucker, Alex Caruso, KCP. This team is loaded. Ben McLemore shows what he could do coming off the bench. So to be 1-5 in their last 6 games, to be 1-4 since Anthony Davis came back, and then add this game, obviously on the back end for LeBron James, I wasn't expecting that. That's the last thing I expected. I thought Lakers were actually going to start mowing through teams once Anthony Davis came back. So let me give you guys a quick preview of what the Lakers got coming up. All right, so and the 1-5. So if you guys remember, lost that last game to the Utah Jazz, The 2 they played against Dallas, I'd have bet a lot of money that the Lakers win that second one against the Dallas Mavericks. That obviously didn't happen. The one win that they have is against Orlando, and then lost obviously against Washington and Sacramento. So this is what they got coming up. Final month. So next time the Lakers play, we're in May, and this will be obviously the final 9 games of the regular season. You got Toronto coming up on Sunday. Shouldn't be, yes, there's some talent there. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry. There's some talent there. I'm not going to say there isn't, but the Toronto Raptors should not be hanging with the Los Angeles Lakers. After that, you got Denver, Clippers, Portland, Phoenix, New York. All 5 of those teams in playoff position right now. They're either right in the thick of it, atop the entire, like the Phoenix Suns. Clippers obviously going to be a legitimate threat. So keeping all those teams in mind, that's what the Lakers got coming up. I think they need this, to be honest with you. I feel like this Lakers team is one of those teams where they accept and they want challenges more than just kind of going out and going about their day, and there isn't something to play for. I really feel like that. You guys remember early in the season, Lakers had 3 games in a row. They went into overtime. Those 3 games, was it Oklahoma City, Detroit, something like that. And it felt like in those games they just were incredibly disinterested. This was one of those games against the Sacramento Kings where it was very similar. It felt like they were disinterested in a game like this. So you got 9 games left. The standings are tight. You're not the highest up you can be in the standings is going to be number 5. The furthest you'll fall back is number 7. Obviously, fall back to number 7. You put yourself in an interesting position where you're in this play-in tournament, which I think all NBA fans are a fan of the play-in tournament because it's more basketball. But what we're not fans of is the Lakers being in that play-in tournament. We don't want to see the Lakers in that play-in tournament. We obviously just want to see the Lake Show handle business and finish off these last 9 games. I'm actually excited that they got 5 games against tough teams, some challenging teams. We'll see what the Lakers can do there. All right, 110-106 the final score. Next broadcast, by the way, coming up. I mentioned it's this Sunday versus the Toronto Raptors. Who would have thought here? Lakers and the Sacramento Kings. By the way, quick thank you here. Coors Seltzer. Obviously, as everybody knows here, you can now stream the show on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook Live. Coors Seltzer, Rocky Mountain Refreshment now in hard seltzer. And check this out. Every 12-pack purchase refreshes our rivers with 500 gallons of water. Now that's refreshing. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, brewed in Fort Worth, Texas. Details at CoorsSeltzer.com. Next broadcast, Lakers and Toronto, Sunday, 5:30. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. Couple quick thank yous. Thank you to Rebecca Womble, Jesse Lopez, Curtis Poindexter, and Carlos Saisu. Thank you to everybody on 710 ESPN, everybody that's also tuned in on our stream and our broadcasts. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Back on Sunday. Have a good rest of your night, Laker fans.
Thank you for listening to Lakers basketball tonight. Game 63 of the season is in the books.
Lakers basketball on ESPN LA is sponsored by Subaru of Glendale, the #1 Subaru dealer in America. Lakers basketball.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Lakers basketball on 710 ESPN is brought to you by Dignity Health, where the well-being of patients is always the priority. Learn more at dignityhealth.org/SoCal.
Lakers basketball is presented by Albertsons and Vons. Team up with Albertsons and Vons for the win. Get all your game day favorites delivered right to your door with Albertsons or Vons.com. It's just better.
Coming up for the champs, Sunday night at Staples. The Raptors are in town. Toyota Lakers countdown to tip-off at 5:30 p.m. Tip-off from Staples at 7. Lakers Raptors, Sunday night on 710.